wrong. I backed away when I should have stood strong. I quit if things were taking too long. And Lord, it's taking forever to write this song. I was born on the mighty Mississippi. My daddy was a mean drunk hippie. When mama had me, that damn doctor hit me. And now you know why I'm so goddamn lippy. So listen up and take a step back. Real rap's a journey, not a one-way track. Find your own voice, don't just imitate. Cause the real ones rise and fakes ones fade. Bragging about the streets they roam. And sitting on the cold aluminum throne. While I'm spitting and vibing, they just moan. Claiming they're kings, but sitting alone. Got bars like a prison, but they can't break free. Spitting recycled lines, no originality. And here I am, bringing up clarity. While they babble on, lost in their parody. No need to set a trap with a limp in their wall. People saying that you ever can't even talk. Babbling lies, they think they're so fly. But I'm here to tell them to say goodbye. Babbling nonsense, trying to chase that fame. But I'm here to call it out, it's a damn shame. Claiming they're the next Big E in the game. But their rhymes are weak, just a flicker, no flame. You sound familiar, yeah, real vanilla. So similar, like some out of Plains gorilla. In a small villa, deep in Manila. Kin to Queen Camilla and her flotilla. And all kinds of Furbies and chinchilla who drank too much tequila. And what's really killer is that the real filler is the real spiller of the real filler is the real filler of the real deal. All these channel nerds on this panel verse using battle words to tackle turds and slaying shit in bit non-bits, putting out hits on men with tits and chicks with dicks and LGBT misfits and don't know shit yet, professing truth like an effing sleuth in a private booth with a lion tooth, drunk or removed like a damn fool. And just in case you haven't heard, I'm a true ogre that writes his own word, so don't cross the line, it isn't blurred. And from first-hand experience I've learned when I hold the words back in my mind. It's just me trying to be kind, but no, man, I'm not so blind. Speaking is the right kind. Speaking vivid visions right from the start. With each word playing a certain part. A verbal picture that shows its own art. Painted with passion, inspired by the heart. I'm telling you, break the chains with the truth. In a world full of babble and giving proof. So drop the act, let the real ones thrive. In this rap game, only the genuine survive. When things have become so problematic, I try to find solutions like an addict looking for a bump to keep up the habit. And the effect seems so damn automatic. This comes with personality or whatever you want to call it. I don't participate chasing the bag by trying to ball it. See, I'm a redneck with no money, if I pay, I want it. So go ahead and keep hating on me like Jussie Smollett.
Everyone questioning my style, you must be kidding. The words that I am putting forth are hitting you in the right in the face, yet you are tripping. You're drunk on something and you ain't been sipping. Just step into the metaverse where the vibes can be cursed. Digital dreams, but sometimes it feels like a hearse. People lost in avatars, chasing likes in the cloud. But what's worse is the real world's fading now. We all have the freedom of speech, but people always trying to bleep me. Is it because they can't keep me? Or is it because they can't beat me? Bringing the simple truths that you can't destroy. All the flagging things I've seen since I was a boy. The things that made me cry and brought me joy. The good and bad in my life I learned to employ. Taking from them the experience and leaving emotions behind. And so I learned to be true and no longer accept to be blind. Acting and performing in ways that others have defined, only to find out once again that I have them aligned. We're living in a world that's so filled with doubt. If you're caught in the game, they toys seem to break out. I see you looking for the truth, but it's hard to scout. Thought you were awake, but finding you're lost in the clouds. They feed us the script, gotta learn to live without. Learn to question every lie and to flip the route. See the ages lurking in the dark corners all about. See I'm breaking free and my discernment speaking out. Perception's a trick punch like a shadow in a bout. Chasing after dreams, others trying to drown them out. But I rise from the ashes and break free from that doubt in this matrix of madness. You hear me scream out, breaking the chains and getting rid of all the doubt. That's what you have to do to find your way out. Drink the clean waters and let your vision sprout. In a world of deception, together we'll rise and shine. The matrix way twist what it's all about. Reality's not a screen, that's delusion. You can do it out, trapped in that illusion and mostly seeing others pout. Feeling like a pawn in a game where they set the route. Bet you didn't think I could wipe this rap. Bet you didn't bet I'm right in fact. So scream all you want and write in caps. All you really doing is fighting stats. So remember I was born on the mighty Mississippi. My daddy was a mean drunk hippie. My mama had me, that damn doctor hit me. And now you know I'm so goddamn lippy.
Days ago, and look who we have. Say hi to Dempsey. We've come to realize that it's a female with the dull coloring, and so therefore it is no longer Dempsey Sir Poops a Lot. It is Dempsey Madam Poops a Lot. So just once again, reminder, if you're a steward of life, you will have lifelong friends. God bless. Love y'all. Have a great
It's a shit show, but it's a hit, yo. Panel full of talkers, all bark, no soul. Drama's on tap, spilling fast and loud. Dollar signs flashing when they rile the crowd. Super chats rolling, they pay for the beef. Truth takes a backseat, clouds the belief. It's a shit show, baby, prime time go. Numbers climb high while the morals get sold. Turn up the heat, let the chaos flow. Ain't a doubt truth, it's a rodeo. If the views keep coming and the cash still grow, I stop the circus, let the madness go. Fake tears fall and the mic gets cut. One's playing victim, the other talks tough. Receipts get dropped, now the chat's on fire. A digital bonfire built from liars. But every low blow makes the money ring, so they keep on dancing in that drama swing. It's a shit show, baby, prime time gold. Numbers climb high while the morals get sold. Turn up the heat, let the chaos flow. Ain't no God truth, it's a radio. If the views keep coming and the cash still grow, I stop the circus, let the madness grow. There's a spotlight on the petty, and fame's just clicks away. They don't care who they bury, as long as someone pays. It's a shit show, baby, but the lights still shine. Even fake crowns look good online. One big game where the real get paid, but the scoreboard's few, so the lights stay paid. Yeah, it's messy, ugly, and kind of slow, but welcome y'all to the shit show.
There we are. And greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Coming at you tonight with Tits Out, Balls to the Wall, number 18. We got a Copaholic Special V coming. And we're going to start it out with a city council meeting first. And before we do so, I want to remind everybody, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There is a PayPal link down there for anybody who wants to share some love. All is appreciated. And the StreamYard link should be down there for anybody that wants to join the panel. So we're going to start out, like I said, oops, wrong one, with a video on a city council meeting. Let me see where it's at here. There we are. Let's see here. Okay, this is Joe Rogan, and he's gonna. It says he's reacting to an honest teacher getting silenced by the school board. So the basic thing that I've been posing is that the main problem, the main issue that we have with modern society, not just here in the quote United States of America, but around the world, is the education system, where we're using a medium of learning known as a public education system that is actually indoctrinating us or conditioning us in a cognitive dissonance. So please pay attention.
Can you pull it up just so we can see it? Because it's so nuts.
Hi, I'm a teacher from Fairfax County Public Schools. I'm going to
Do you
give
have a
it to-
medical exemption?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a medical exemption for?
I do.
this? Okay. You've been cleared by staff. Can someone,
Yes, I have. Can I have my full minute, please?
you may,
Thank you.
I'm waiting for staff to give me a thumbs up that the medical exemption was granted.
You know, it's actually embarrassing that you have to ask me that question in front of hundreds of people here. That's discrimination against HIPAA. I can't ask you if you're gay. I can't ask you if you have herpes. You can't ask me about my medical exemption. I can't ask you if you're pregnant. You can't ask me that question.
Would you like your minute now?
I would love my minute. Yes. Thank you. Don't be afraid to speak out for your kids because they are voiceless and they rely on you. You should be afraid of them rooting for socialism by the time they get to middle school. Teachers, it may seem that our careers have come to a dead end, but I'm here to remind you, we don't work for the school board. We work to mold the next generation of well-rounded American patriots. So don't give up, because it is up to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if we don't instill in our younger generation their true values and their true talents and how to evaluate those, they will be conditioned, even in kindergarten, in a political forum. This is also what I speak out on when we have these teachers in their dichotomies and propaganda issues in fomenting this onto the children. That's not what the children are there for. They shouldn't be doing that kind of thing. They should stick to the curriculum, and that does not happen. And that's part of this system of bullying. When you put your children out into a corporate false patriarch and expect them to not be discriminated in or against, when they lack the knowledge of discernment, because you haven't instilled it in them. And that public education isn't going to instill that in them either. It's going to instill them to remember what you're told. And they're going to remember what the teachers tell them. And all of that remembering this and that and this and that is why we have children growing up confused. So please pay attention. The next one we've got is the attorney exposing corrupt judges.
In Georgia, it's illegal for judges to meet secretly with one side. Watch how this escalates quickly when the judge is caught.
In chambers, district attorney, sheriff deputies, Mr. Copeland and his counsel met together. None of the defense team was aware that this was going on. Mr. Copeland intended to plead the Fifth Amendment.
Can I interrupt you just a second? I'm kind of disturbed because how did you find out about any of that?
Well,
I'm kind of disturbed because how did you find out about any of that? Okay, pay attention. Yeah, you should be disturbed.
And by mentioning it, you are only confirming, how did you find out about that? That it did in fact happen. So pay attention.
Servitude. And the reason
I'm asking you a question.
And
How did you find out about it?
I'm going to answer your question. Okay. Mr. Williams is entitled under the Georgia Constitution to be present.
And you haven't answered my question yet.
I will not answer.
Under the Georgia Constitution, he is entitled to be present. Okay, that's the issue. And when he brought up that issue, the judge is now demanding, without answering, how he got that information. It doesn't matter how he got the information. The information shows that you are committing treason. So again, it should damn well disturb you. And again, folks, this is not legal advice. This is not lawful determinations. This is my mere opinion. And my very strong opinion is that the judge on the bench, by violating such a law and violating a man's not just his Fourth Amendment rights, but his Fifth, Sixth, and First, is total treason. Sixth as well, if I didn't mention that.
Answer that
Why
question.
will you not answer that question?
Because I want to make sure that what I say is accurate.
If you don't tell me how you got this information, then you and I are going to have some problems.
I got problems right now.
I don't want to know about your problem. All I'm asking you at this point in time is, how did you come up?
You and I are going to have problems. Funny shit, huh? Funny shit.
There he is. The king is here. King Hayden is in the building. What up, Hayden? Let's go, Burn.
Greetings, brother. How you doing tonight, Russ?
Greetings. Good to see you. Figured I'd come up and hang out.
Good deal. Good deal. Always appreciate company. So the deal here again is that this guy is supposed to have a highest level of integrity, and he violated that. And in that violation, he is, in my very strong opinion, committing treason. And in that, it is the duty of the people to throw off such despotism, to speak out, asserting their First Amendment. That's why I say this guy is trying to violate the First Amendment by having the ex parte meeting to begin with, which also violates the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth.
Upon this information, somehow you have surreptitiously gotten information in regards to the court's private ex parte conversations with a party. I'm going to
Surreptitiously, backhanded by private means, without proper authority to do so, surreptitious. So he, the judge on the bench, surreptitiously held an ex parte meeting along with the other participants, all surreptitiously doing it. And now he's got a finger pointed back at him, accusing him of surreptitious activity.
I'm going to give you 5 minutes. If you don't tell me who it is, I'm going to put you in contempt.
Great. Put me in contempt, because like I said, this guy already admitted by asking him the very question, how did you find out about that? In other words, he didn't deny it in his questioning back. He simply pointed a finger back at him and said, no, you're doing that. No, you did. No, you did. No, you did. They both did. He did it first. That's what compelled the defense to do what they did. If you see something, say something. They saw something that wasn't regular. They're saying something.
You got 5 minutes. Well, I don't need it. I want to.
Does that sound unethical? Enjoy.
Very unethical. And that's why I say, when we have people like this that are supposedly the whip master, I'll call them, of the lower echelons, the police and the enforcement arms, that's why they get away with it. These people are holding ex parte meetings and doing their little, nepotism
Yeah. I reached out to the Supreme Court here in Kentucky. Yeah, I don't know if it was yesterday or day before or whatever. And they, that lady says, "Why you?" She said, "Why are you singling out Justice Keller?" I said, "Well, if the orders of merit isn't given to the Federal Reserve to protect every living soul on this planet, you're all in violation. So I'm not singling anyone out."
Yeah, it's just obvious that he's one of them. And so you've got to finalize that. And
It just
then
happens to
maybe
be a female, though.
so
I know.
the you women wanted your feminist rights. I watched a video earlier where there was a discussion on whether they should have allowed a female cop to be present to search this woman. Listen, you wanted feminist rights. You wanted to be equally treated as men, but you don't want to be treated equally by men in certain situations. The fuck on. And again, you can call me a misogynist all you want, but I honestly don't believe you belong out there in the society in those types of positions and manners. You should be protected and provided for, not be affronting somebody else's man that is supposed to provide and protect for their woman. Causing discord and stuff in public with other men because you have a feminist equality problem. You should take your feelers, go back home, and put on some more makeup to cover it up. Excuse my bluntness. So let's get on to the next one, where a cop breaks man's door down and offs him in his own home.
The guy's door open, so that the guy's going to lose his composure, and then they're going to pew pew pew.
This is one of the problems with some of these apartment buildings that have these interior doors, but they're actually a exterior entrance door to somebody's dwelling, and so they're not as solid as they're supposed to be. And this is a horrific incident where that plays a large role in this, and nobody mentions that. But notice how this door is broken by knocking on it. It's a single panel door, very weak.
Mr. Davis, you lost some property. We're just trying to return it to you.
That's not true. The cops can lie to you because the case of Frazier versus Cup. Now watch this cop. He's going to notice that he broke the door, and he's going to break the door down.
Oops. I'm trying to knock.
No, you're not trying to knock. You're trying to violate a man's Fourth Amendment right.
Oh.
Because it was easy to break, they broke it while trying to knock. No, they knocked while breaking it. Same thing with if it was just a big old glass window there. Oops, I knocked too hard and it broke. Now we can enter. That's not the way it works, folks.
Look, I mean, I took interest in the facial features and everything while he was enjoying all of this. I believe when they're found guilty in this, they should be stripped of everything, and maybe they should be marched around the community where they did the violation at in their goddamn pink panties or something. There has to be something drastic for these fucking beta cuck men.
Well, and notice it's a woman there too. And this is, again, call me a misogynist, but women do not belong in the military or the policy enforcement.
He's probably showing off in front of her, wanting to slide something up in that.
Yeah, if you're in policy enforcement, ladies, I urge you to stay behind the desk where you're safe. Again, that's man's priority. Whether it's your woman or another man's woman, you still have a priority of protecting the women and children. That is how you spread your legacy, men.
So they shot the guy 3 times at point blank range, and of course he's gonna.
Don't move! Don't move!
What did he do wrong? He grabbed a weapon and he, number one, went to attack people. You can't do that. And number two, he left the magical threshold of the door. Even if they had knocked the door off the frame because it was flimsy, they still can't enter into the house. You can stand there and look at them and they can't touch you. And if they do, you're going to get off. But if you walk outside the threshold of that door, they're going to grab you and they're going to hose you. The cop.
And I wonder about the context of this too. So I'm going to point this out to everybody as I question it. Because the guy seems to be living in kind of a shambles, probably very low income. Again, another reason why he's such a shitty door. And as well as he's in there and he's evidently already got a knife in his hand. And so I wonder if it wasn't a community care call, you know, where they had a welfare check come in because they thought the guy might be a harm to himself. So in the consideration of trying to prevent the man from harming himself, they kill him. I mean, that's pretty raw.
Yeah. I mean, I get the struggles with these police forces with this mental health and everything else. But at some point, these people have to realize that these two wrongs doesn't make anything right. So if you send some unstable individuals out here dealing with this type of situation, what the hell do they expect? So whoever's hiring these individuals, not only, you know, if it's found that this guy's, and I mean, what I saw there with the door, he was enjoying that. So he's used to that type of behavior. Him and who hired him should be pulled in and something drastic done about it.
Absolutely. And this is also part of discussion on a stream I was on earlier. When it comes to situations like this, these people aren't really qualified to handle such mental health concerns. But then it begs, so what are you supposed to do? Supposed to send a doctor? And this is where it gets difficult because, you know, it kind of becomes rather comprehensive and difficult when you have to consider something like that. Do you send the police as well as maybe a paramedic or two and a couple doctors to make a good discernment about what's going on and still be able to have a certain effect, supposedly progressive, for the supposed one that they have a concern for? You know, where is that fine line drawn when it comes to community services, which I'll remind you that those public services are a public trust and they're supposed to benefit such people in need. So,
well, if I could add, Keith, you know, a lot of folks in this type of situation right here, they would, you know, immediately either blame the officers, the department, or the community because of what happened here. But you know, I'd hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the ultimate guilty party would be this gentleman's family. No questions asked. No questions asked.
Yeah, we forget that, you know, part of that indoctrination is because our family goes along with it. And I'll remind you again, folks, that's why I firmly believe we need to start rebuilding that family unit and taking back our responsibilities, very primarily starting with the education of our next generations.
I look at those. That's like I told that lady at the Supreme Court the other day. She brought up the Fed. Sounds like this is a federal issue. I said, you could call it what you want. I said, but I think different than the average bear. I look at those federal guys as the older generations, keeping an eye on that younger generation that moves up the rank of that authority in the state level and handles that house business. And they ain't neither one of you's done your damn jobs.
Yeah, it's not a federal issue. It's an issue of the children of God in this Christian
Still
society.
pushing the blame. Nobody wants to take responsibility and accountability for their own negligence.
Yeah. So the next one we've got is a cop gets disowned or dismissed by a guy refusing ID.
Rolled up strong, throwing her weight around.
And the first thing I want to point out here is exactly as he said, this cop rolls up, throwing her weight around. How can you expect somebody like this to help you enforce the law? Okay? Not because she's a woman, but because she's obese. I want to know how this woman passed the physical exam requirement to be on the streets. I don't see it.
But instead of the easy win she was expecting, she got served a big plate of reality.
See how this is all public? I'm talking right now. Exactly. I'm in a public area doing a constitutionally protected activity. Sure I can. I can record whatever I can see from a publicly accessible area.
I don't understand why you're recording them. Do you have any weapons on you?
Of course I do. It's a constitution. I'm allowed to. Open carry.
You either need to leave.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. Why do I need to leave?
Let me see your ID.
No, you can't see my ID.
Weapon on you, I need to see your
No,
ID.
you don't.
When you have a weapon on you and you're recording.
Doesn't matter. This is a public sidewalk. This is a constitutionally protected activity under the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. You're not supposed to know anything. You do not know the Constitution, nor do you understand the Delaware State Code.
You're being hostile. My job is.
No, ma'am, I'm not being hostile. I'm trying to educate you. Trying to deprive me of my rights under color of law. Okay, you're just opened yourself up to a lawsuit.
This cop rolled.
Do you have any weapons on you?
Of course I do. It's a constitution. I'm allowed.
I don't understand why you're recording them. I don't understand why you're recording them. I don't understand why you're recording them. Do you have any weapons?
Protected activity under the constitutionally protected activity under the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. Constitutionally protected activity under the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. It's a constitutionally protected activity under the First Amendment and the Second Amendment.
I don't know what's so hard to understand about this, folks. That's as easy as I don't care whether you don't understand it. Maybe go read the First Amendment of the Constitution again. This is ridiculous. And this is what you expect to enforce the law for you. They don't even understand the Constitution.
You saw Mr. Symington get in his car. You followed it.
I saw a car leave and I saw him driving it.
You radioed to dispatch, quote, "I'm going to follow this Mustang. It was the one that appeared to be 2301 driving it." What does code 2301 mean?
Drunk.
And yet you did not stop him when you saw him initially.
No.
Despite the fact that you suspected him of being drunk.
Correct.
Aside from the signal violation, you did not see any other bad driving?
No, I did not.
He completed all field sobriety tests with no clues?
All that I requested, yes.
All indicative of a sober person?
He did the field sobriety test correctly, but I still believed he was not sober.
No further questions. When you saw
sobriety test correctly, but field sobriety test did the field sobriety test correctly, but I still believed he was not sober. Did the field sobriety test correctly, but I still believed he was not sober. Did the field sobriety test correctly, but I still believed he was not sober.
Their discernment is so fucked up that they can have all the evidence right before them saying he is not intoxicated, and they will go with their belief. How is that?
Well, you must have been drunk that day, officer, to think that you can violate somebody's rights on what you think when he already completed every measure necessary to prove his innocence.
Absolutely.
You took the law into your own hands that day, boy.
Bingo. He took the law into his own wallet.
That's it.
Okay. Here's another one. Case dismissed in 34 seconds.
24 cues that you learn at your 40-hour, of the 24 cues that you learn at your 40-hour training, there are 24 cues. I just mentioned 3 of them for reference. You recall that speeding is not one of them, correct?
Correct.
You've indicated on your direct examination just moments ago that you saw Mr. Hall speeding, right?
That is correct.
And speeding is not one of those cues, right? He never turned with a white.
We're talking about a DUI, right? And one of the speeding is not one of the cues, and it's not one of the cues because most of the time people that are DUI tend not to speed and be able to speed and keep it straight and all that. So they're more concentrating on keeping it straight, and you find out they end up actually driving slower. In this case, they accused the guy of double the speed limit, and yet that's the only infraction and no other indicators. So pay attention.
Wide radius at any point, did he?
No.
He never drove in the opposing lane?
Nope.
He never went down the wrong way on a one-way street?
Nope.
He never just stopped in the middle of the road for no reason, without you initiating your equipment, of course?
Correct.
Of the 24 Qs that you learn at your 40-hour training, there are 24 Qs. I just mentioned 3 of them for reference.
And he used something that wasn't a Q to say, okay, yeah, he is. So their discernment is way off. And this, again, is why I urge everybody, we need to start taking that responsibility ourselves so we can then teach our children discernment. And when I speak about the public education system, that discernment is the instilling of what is known as autodidactic learning. It's a different medium of learning other than the public education system that teaches you to remember things. Autodidactic is being able to observe, comprehend, and learn on yourself on your own through your own firsthand observances and experiences, rather than having to sit down in the classroom and expect somebody to tell you something that they know to be true, which may or may not be true. But again, it's been set up through an indoctrination system to remember this, and it might be outdated or something new discovered, all kinds of things. So it's
Well,
important.
not
to pay
only
attention.
that, they pick and choose what they want you to remember too.
Well, that's what I mean. That there are certain technologies that they will hold back, and this is a pretty well posed idea. They call them conspiracies, that the government already has technology 50, 70, 100 years in advance to what we've been experiencing on the commercial customer markets. You know, the military itself has advanced weaponry and technology that isn't released to the public communities. So,
right. See, I'm one that's a firm believer, buddy. If you got some nasty behaviors, like that cop that took the law into his own hand after that guy completed all the measures necessary, that type of behavior right there, I would be very strong on something like that. I think that there at some point is going to have to come some kind of example set. You know what I mean?
well, some of those examples are coming, but before we get to those, we've got one here of just another, common man that got his example in a firsthand experience. Guy gets pepper sprayed and then gets sued.
One guy walked up to this cameraman and assaulted him, so he got pepper sprayed.
I'm filming everybody in public.
Why?
Is there a reason why you got to be this close to me?
Yeah, because you all in my.
See, if you're afraid of being filmed in public, why would you not just walk up to him, but walk right up into his personal space? You're the one that created the physical action, which is now deemed assault.
Don't touch me, please. Get off.
Nothing. Don't play.
You want to get pepper?
I'm not touching you. I'm touching your equipment. So again, another one that admits his wrongdoing and questions somebody else for what he's going to do in return, because he believes he did something first.
Well, this fool don't know that's an extension of his vessel there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He admitted.
Yeah, no, that's what. Yeah, I'm just saying that guy obviously he doesn't understand that.
Yeah.
Do you want to get handled?
Dude, let go of my stuff right now.
Put your camera on.
That's grand theft.
It's not. I ain't taking it away.
Grand theft.
You just put your hands on me. That's assault.
You know what? You got your hands on me. My stuff here.
Your camera off.
You need to back off.
No, I'm gonna tell you right now. Put your.
You need to back up.
And just like that, another uneducated bully
damn, he
does the walk of shame.
This
See, when the common man tries to enforce the law without knowing the law, the common man that they're trying to oppress, this is what they do to him. How come it is they don't do this to the police? You see where the law enforcement's going? It's getting slung sideways into the hands of common people, and they're going to start learning. And this is where the tide is going to turn as well. Like I mentioned, you may be surprised to find out people are going to start doing this to the police.
People like this are driving the getaway car for the treasonous public servants.
Yeah.
They just don't know it.
Yeah, they're the ones willing to jump on that bandwagon and say, well, that judge had every right to have the ex parte because your criminal's a criminal. No, that's not the way it works.
This gentleman's got children. They're going to look back on this in the near future and see how much of a fool this gentleman was.
Yeah. And like I said, it is systemic all the way from your local community leaders being the executive commander-in-chief, the mayor, all the way up to the nation's commander-in-chief, the president. So let's take a look at the antithesis of democracy. Chicago mayor responds to Trump's threats.
You said he has other aims. What are the other aims?
The other aims are that he'd like to stop the elections in 2026 or, frankly, take control of those elections. He'll just claim that there's some problem with an election, and then he's got troops on the ground that can take control if, in fact, he's allowed to do this.
If, in fact, he's allowed to do this. And that's the problem. If, in fact, Trump is allowed to do this, and I want everybody to pay attention here. Pay attention. This is why it's important to understand the laws and how they're written. If Trump has the willingness and the ability to do this, it is not through the mayor that he conducts his business affairs. The mayor has no powers when it comes to the militia. That is a state power. And therefore, Trump must have an agreement with the governor. And that also means that if he's dealing with the mayor and hasn't dealt with the governor and doesn't have an agreement with the governor to do so, then he cannot, absolutely cannot deploy militia troops on the ground in the state of Illinois. Okay? I urge anybody to bring up an argument against that. According to the way the Constitution and those laws are written, he does not have unilateral power to do shit. He must have the agreement with the governor. If he does not have the agreement with the governor, then he is exercising authority he does not have. This is the problem with Gavin Newsom in California. He did not have the power to do so because Gavin Newsom, and it was well known, was rebutting, saying no.
What if the governor that was in there was proven to be in there under corruption behind the scenes?
He would have to prove the corruption first. And then they would instill another governor. He still cannot bypass
They wouldn't have to publicize that, though, would they? At the process, because then that would...
Integrity. Again, the transparency is a must, and this is where the people have to stand up. It's no longer a matter of allowing them to write laws that allow them to hide their transparency. That is not their job. That is the job of the people. It is the job of the people, the duty of the people to throw off despotic government. If that's so, then they must enforce the transparency.
I think the Secretary of War, I don't know, the way I'm seeing it, I believe that Secretary of War just might be that spiritual being that decides those teachings in the finances.
Well, that doesn't matter here nor there if we understand again that concept of getting back to that family education,
right?
Because then the finances become an open book.
Right, the head teacher is responsible for the finances. The man's the head of the house. You're responsible.
And if you can't allow the private foundation, which is your familiar roots, unincorporated, unorganized, to have an equal station in life, then what you're doing is dismissing both the 9th and 10th Amendments of the Constitution of the United States, where it's integral that the power is so delegated to both the United States and the states innately and inherently come from the people. And that is a Ninth Amendment that says they are not so enumerated that they can be expressed in that Constitution. Again, reiterating that is because it's the priority and the duty of the people to throw off such despotism, whether it be from the state or the United States.
Do you agree with the governor's assessment?
I do. There are multiple motives that the president has right now. One, his ultimate motive, of course, is to bring federal troops, the National Guard, into the city of Chicago and cities across America to cause chaos, to justify martial law. I mean,
and he cannot, again, federalize a state that is sovereign and has a recognized sovereignty because it has its own constitution. Okay? He has to have the agreement with the governor to enforce that 10th Amendment to allow federalization for a period of time, which delegates the powers to the United States for enforcement.
I mean, this is, a direct play from the playbook that comes out of, our fight for civil rights. And then, of course, the president has made it very clear. He said that this will be the last election. It's one thing when you're standing up to, a strong opposition within.
And I would have to find that because, again, this is something that I would never believe in the context that they put forward. Because like I've expressed, and again, I urge anybody to question it and prove me wrong. When it comes to that Constitution and the sovereignty of the states and their Constitution, that cannot be overruled unilaterally by the president to initiate federal zoning within the state to then send troops. That would be an act of war against a sovereign nation state.
Political parties. We've had that. Democrats have, tussles within the party. Republicans do the same. And, we have our competing views, but we ultimately come together for the sake of America. We don't have that right now. You have someone who is determined to behave as well as lead like a dictator. And his authoritarianism is something that is threatening our democracy. I've made this very clear. You either support the Constitution or you do not. Here in Chicago, we're going to stand firm to protect our democracy, but we're also going to make sure that we protect the humanity of individuals. If the president was actually serious about transforming this country, he would work with mayors. We have the U.S.
No, he would work with state governors and have them uphold their sovereignty to protect their communities by working with the mayors. Otherwise, the mayors get ousted. Listen, if you don't maintain the peace and integrity of a good democracy, and you blatantly show that you're willing to allow the people destroy it on a majority, then that is a bad democracy. We're here for progress, not digression and oppression because of your feelers.
My understanding,
it's time to
Rangers.
It's time to get diplomatic about things. Go ahead.
From my understanding, Rangers are basically upholding to Mother Nature.
Again, the Eldon says that's why it's no longer Department of Defense. It's now Department of War. No, it's not. Again, if you understand how this stuff works, the president cannot unilaterally rename a department. It is, in fact, under the Department of what is it? I just spoke on it yesterday. The national, 1947 National Security Act. The National Security Act of 1947 significantly reorganizes the U.S. government's military and intelligence structures after World War II, creating the Department of Defense to unify armed forces under civilian control. He cannot unilaterally rename it. It has been enacted under the National Security Act in 1947, and that's a congressional act. He has to have congressional approval. Stop it.
All right.
And this is where I think it's funny that they take their authority. Oops, we didn't finish that last one, did we? I'm sorry. Got distracted there. So yeah, it's a matter of dealing with the governor and not the mayor, understanding your authority and how it's supposed to work through a process. And if you avoid the proper process, it shows that you're avoiding the proper communication. No wonder everybody doesn't understand.
Conference of Mayors. We have the African American Mayors Association. There are plenty of groups that he could collaborate with to ensure that our communities are protected, loved, and invested in. What he is calling for is the antithesis to what this democracy is all about. But that's why we're holding firm in Chicago, and we're asking people around America to remain firm, defend our democracy. Let's not normalize this type of ideology. Let's protect the interests and the values of working people, because that's what our ancestors fought, died, and bled for.
And so the issue here is, yeah, I agree, fight for the democracy, but so far that's what they tend to be saying. They say that they're doing is that they're defending democracy, and yet here we have with all this violence. If that's what you call defending democracy, then maybe you have a skewed version of democracy, or maybe you're trying to change the view of democracy, which tends to seem more fascist than anything. So it's a matter of understanding what's really going on, who has the power to do it, how it's being communicated, how you discern it for yourself. I'm not in Chicago, but from an outside view, I see it as a democracy falling because they're all in their feelers and they're acting more fascist than anything because they're trying to change the actual academic refinement of what a democracy is.
How hard is it to do the right thing? See, I look at all these guys and they got a nice sharp vocabulary and got a nice little rap to them, but they have no authenticity, no creativity. They bring no value to the damn table.
Yep.
How in the hell?
And I call it a demo. I call it a democracy. So yeah, they defend the democracy instead of a republic. Absolutely correct. And then the Eldon, I'll agree with this one, Agenda 23 or 2030, the elephant in the room. They have certain things that they are doing to try to condition people. And this is what I'm speaking about is they're slowly conditioning people into being able to accept what is slowly being put upon them. So when we see this kind of stuff here, it's a tendency to imply through my eyes that they're trying to slowly implement the idea that they can just drop militia units here and there if they need to, according to their need, without having any kind of agreements, and just do it unilaterally. And that's not so. That's not how a democracy works. It doesn't work unilaterally. Nowhere. The president does have certain unilateral powers, but they are very limited, and they are not of these venues. So the next one we got is the cop shocked by hidden FBI agent. So they go around and they just assert authority over anybody, not realizing who they're actually speaking to. And then when they find out that it is somebody that is technically their boss, as far as it goes to those military style ranks and the authority cards that they can pull. FBI agent. Huh.
Just come and make assumptions. All right, do your job correctly.
During his routine patrol, a police officer tried to kick a homeless man out of the park without knowing that the man was actually an FBI agent. Because of this mistake, the officer ended up losing his job.
What's up, my man? What are you doing laid up out here in the park?
Man, it's hot outside. I'm just enjoying my day.
It's just a park that's not meant for you. That's the problem.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Legally, you're not really crossing any lines. But
it's so frustrating about me being here. I'm not bothering you. I'm not bothering nobody.
You come in, you cause the problem, and then we have to go a different route. So go ahead, stand up, give me that hand. So my man, don't fight it. We're gonna slowly do this. Yo, back up, my man. What's up? Hey, officer. Hey, I don't.
Yeah, and see, this might be one of those setup videos, but I have seen videos where they've done it before, so I'm just using this one as a reminder. even though it says Axon up here, I'm not sure this is such a real video because of what just happened. You know, these other colored people walking up on him and getting right up in him. Most officers would use that officer safety excuse and step back and start firing. So it doesn't seem right with me, but nevertheless.
I don't know you, man. Officer, what's going on? One of us? What do you mean?
You are an idiot.
I don't know these two guys.
Before you just come and make assumptions, all right? Do your job correctly.
See, that's just a badge. I don't see anything but yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell if that's a real badge or anything, you know. But again, just the issue here is that they think they
watch
can
that AI anymore.
Yeah, they think they can throw their authority over anybody if they're not already in a uniform, and that's a military style setup, which plays a communication. Okay, so if they don't have a foundational communication line directly to the people, then how can they take into consideration the people themselves? They could only merely see them as somebody different and not of like kind, and this is pathetic. The next one I got is police chief escalates a routine traffic stop.
Get your hands out of, sir. Get your hands out of my car.
And again,
sir.
And again, you know, the obesity in these officers, a large number of these officers, the obesity, I don't understand it. I do not understand this.
Sir, get your hands out of my car. Get your hands out of my car.
This is
Get
very
out of here.
illegal.
Get your hands out of my car. Don't tase me. I didn't do anything.
You were given a lawful order. Open the door.
Please
Open
film
the
all this.
door. You are obstructing an investigation. Film all you want. It's on video already.
We have not done anything.
You were stopped on a lawful order. Now open your door.
No. Lawful order. A traffic stop is not a lawful order. That then allows you to give continual lawful orders. A traffic stop is a traffic stop, and you have to give reason for the traffic stop, and that is a offense, a traffic violation in which you give a traffic citation, or it is a mechanical or safety issue where you give them a fix-it ticket or a warning fix-it ticket.
A lawful order? What are you
Open
talking
your
about?
Door now.
Is that an order?
Yes, it's an order. Open your door.
Call.
Traffic stop gives no reason to believe that there's officer safety issues. Here he's sitting in his truck and he just wants to remain in his truck or his car, his vehicle, whatever it is. He just wants to remain there and have the officer issue him his citation. There's no reason to have him get out. There's no issue with officer safety. There's issue with officer feelers and wanting to extend authority beyond which he does not have authority to do so by trying to give lawful orders. Go ahead.
Well, see, they ride that coattail of the that higher creation, but this is godly behavior. I mean, this is fellowship. This is compassion and caring, and this is looking out for your neighbors. This is securing your children. What doesn't all the religious figures and all of these people, all these, what the hell do we think is going on here? And how is people still at this point in time still asleep? And still say, I believe in a higher creation or something. Y'all delusional.
Silver spoon-fed people, born and raised in angelic conditions in certain suburbs here and there that you could say were the pre-modern, what do they call them, sanctuary cities.
I think they all should drop to their knees and repent now, myself.
Reach in the bag.
We're not reaching in the
You're
bag.
not reaching anything.
He's getting a bottle.
See the other one? See this guy here?
Reaching a bag.
We're not reaching in the
You're
bag.
not reaching anything.
Okay, look at him too. He's obese too.
We're not reaching in the
You're
bag.
not reaching
He got a big gut there too.
In the bag.
not reaching
Sticking out. Yeah.
anything.
He's getting a bottle.
And look at his age too.
Get that thing pointed away from my face.
Get out of the car.
This guy.
This is
out of
unbelievable.
control.
This is
Out of
unbelievable.
control. Is that an order?
Yes, it is.
Under what authority?
Mine. Now get out of.
Under what authority? Mine. No, it is not your authority. You are not the one that holds authority. You are a pass-through. And that pass-through is supposed to determine what authority or where the authority comes from. And that is statutory regulations or warrant, or court order, whatever it is. It is not mine.
But that spirit has to be in harmony with that damn letter. So no matter how you look at it, it still has to be something of compassion and care.
Yep.
It's insane how people don't understand this.
Sir, get your hands out of my car.
A traffic stop, and he goes up and starts reaching in to open his door. For what? For what? That's a Fourth Amendment violation right there. Right to be secure in your person's, houses, papers, and effects. The next one we have new footage clears man of fatal hit and run of 6-year-old. Again, where they will put somebody in jail simply because they think or believe something without doing any further investigation. They will stick to their believing.
New surveillance video showing what is believed to be the SUV belonging to the woman now charged in a hit-and-run crash that killed a 6-year-old boy. You can see the vehicle driving down the street about a minute after the fatal crash. The man who was initially arrested in the case is now free after spending 2 weeks in jail.
He spoke exclusively to Matty Kurth about how he's working to further clear his name.
I was crucified in every way humanly possible by everybody.
Nearly 3 weeks ago, Cody Bodette found himself handcuffed in the back of a St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office cruiser.
You just could hear my 6-year-old screaming at the top of her lungs and, tears from, fear.
Did they tell you what they were picking you up for?
Had no idea what was going on for a few hours.
Unbeknownst to him, St. Tammany investigators made Bodette the prime suspect in the hit-and-run death of 6-year-old Jeremiah Ramirez. A driver killed the boy while deputies say he was riding his scooter in the driveway of his Slidell home around 6 p.m. August 13th. Bodette says he told deputies when they pulled him over in his Chevy Suburban SUV that he was in the area around the time of the crash for his daughter's cheer meeting at a nearby high school. Deputies booked him with vehicular homicide, hit-and-run driving, and reckless operation of a motor vehicle related to the child's death.
They had no other evidence except that he was in the area. They didn't even look at the vehicle to see if there was damage, or that if they did, they saw no damage. There was no damage.
Look at all the trauma on his children, his family, his neighbors and the community. I mean, this type of behavior destroys lives.
Yeah, he's going to talk about it.
Where they had their guy.
It really does make me wonder how many other people out there are in a situation like ours.
Bodette's sister, Jordan Rolston, says she never believed the deputies and went out to the neighborhood where Jeremiah was killed to start digging. She says she found a house with a clear view of the street and a security camera that caught a silver Nissan Armada exit the neighborhood minutes after the crash. Rolston said the Armada had serious front-end damage, and she says the home...
Just like the one with the laundromat here not too long ago. The guy crashed into or backed into a lady in trying to get into the trunk of her car and literally ran into her, smashed her between the two cars, and then just drove off. Police didn't do any investigation. It was her mother, the victim's mother that went around to the laundromat and other businesses asking for any footage they had.
Owner, who gave her the video of the Armada, told her at the time that deputies never knocked on their door.
St. Tammany Parish Sheriff was going to convict my brother off of no evidence they had, when all they had to do was go attempt to get the evidence by looking for more camera footage or anything really.
Stressful, depressing, emotional, every word you can think of. I mean, it was a nightmare.
Rolston got in touch with Dallas McClanahan, an ex-cop turned private investigator in Slidell. McClanahan says he took her evidence and tried to bring it to the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office, but he says investigators weren't interested. Do you often get told, "I'm not interested in talking to you"?
Very, very rare.
That would be what's known as misprision of felony. They were given firsthand documentational evidence of the man's innocence, and they denied it, knowing that somebody else had committed a felony, hit and run, and they weren't going to pursue that. That's 3 years for everybody involved.
Usually they'll sit down and talk to me. Only time is if there's some kind of conflict of interest.
Joe Raspani, Fox 8's legal analyst, is representing Beaudette as his defense attorney in this case.
If you look at the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office in a light most favorable to them, they're lazy, they're negligent, and they didn't care.
The St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office won't answer any of our questions about this case. But in a news release, Sheriff Randy Smith said once new evidence came to light, his investigators moved swiftly to redirect the investigation and identify the correct suspect. Raspani says...
Once new evidence came to light. So again, a comment that's admitting that they didn't do their investigation. It was once new evidence came to light because somebody else brought it to you. That's how it came to light. Because of new evidence we found, we moved swiftly to redirect. No, you didn't find new evidence. You stated once new evidence came to light.
His investigators moved swiftly to redirect the investigation and identify the correct suspect. Raspani says after the sheriff's office denied meeting with the private investigator, he then took the evidence directly to District Attorney Colin Sims.
I've reached out to law enforcement dozens and dozens of times. Sometimes they'll listen to me, sometimes they won't. That's fine. But in this particular case, I saw they were not listening to anybody, so I went directly to the DA's office. They acted appropriately. We went and got a bond hearing set as quickly as we could.
Last Friday, Sims ultimately refused all charges against Beaudette that were related to the child's death.
He was in jail for 2 weeks for something he didn't do.
Hours after the DA refused the charges, deputies announced the arrest of Connie Noel Estes for hit and run causing death and obstruction of justice. A judge set a bond of $1 million.
Those 2 weeks felt like 20 years to me and my family.
You know, now that the air has been cleared and they've arrested a different person, has anybody apologized or spoken to you?
Of course not. I can't imagine that they will admit or hold themselves accountable for anything.
After weeks of his arrest circulating online,
My name will always be associated with that original mugshot and the defamation that came with that.
Cody Beaudette says he wants justice for himself and for 6-year-old Jeremiah.
I just hope that, especially with a crime of this magnitude, that a little more investigating and police work goes into the charges before making an arrest.
Maddie Kurth, Fox 8 Local First.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go back here. We got you can see the front end damage right here.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody can clearly see the front end damage there. And half of this spoiler that goes to this rim is broken off. Okay. All they had to do was a little investigation, guys.
that killed a 6-year-old boy. You can see the vehicle driving down the street about.
So the next one we got here.
Yeah, I saw this one.
This is where they think the blue line is supposed to protect them, and they get to do things the way they want to, despite the laws. And this is a prime example of the laws for thee and not for me.
Yeah, rat it out.
This complaining about getting ratted out.
I couldn't believe one of his blue line members ratted on him.
Paul, yeah. This is Officer Allison with the DWI unit.
Hi, Paul. At first, I'm just going to read you your rights, okay? Before you ask any questions, it is my duty as a police officer to advise you of your rights and warning the consequences of waiving these rights. You have the right to remain silent. You do not make a statement oral written to anyone. Any statement the proceedings, Paul, do you understand his rights as I read them to you?
Yes.
Okay, Paul, would you be willing to submit this field sobriety test?
A field sobriety test?
Yes, sir. A standardized field sobriety test. Would you be willing to submit to this?
I wasn't driving.
Evidently, you have been driving, I guess. So that's where this is.
I was in the parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess there's video of you driving. So. Right. It is what it is. So basically, this is the question that he's posing to you right now. So it's up to you. You see where this is going right now. So it's just your decision to make.
You could bring me to jail?
I don't know at this point right now. He just got here. So.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. You can't take me to jail.
This is all just starting like right now. So what the happened? I don't know.
Well, if I refuse, I go to jail.
I don't know. We'll find out.
This is bullshit. This is bullshit. No, the bullshit is you have no morals or ethics. You think you're better than everybody else. You're a narcissistic fuck, and you're gonna get what you deserve.
You're on the same team. You don't realize it. What do you got? Rat it out. Rat.
What? What?
Happened. I don't know.
Well, if I refuse, I go to jail. This is bull. You're on the same team. You don't realize it. You're on the same team. You don't realize it. You're on the same team. You don't realize it. What do you got? Rat it out. Rat.
We're going to do this, Paul? Or
yeah, I guess. We'll do it. What am I going to do?
See, he's one of those ones that has the mentality, it's us versus them. We're all on the same team. It's us against them, guys. Why are you coming against me? See, now he's a victim in his own ranks. Fucking pathetic.
There's no honor amongst thieves.
That's your decision.
Yeah. Okay, no choice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Make sure you're keeping your head still, sir.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Okay, Paul. I have to do that.
Looks like his eyes are bloodshot. Couldn't keep his head still. Yeah.
Uncomfortable thing, right? Just turn around.
Yeah, I got to do the uncomfortable. Yeah, he determined he was drunk. He was intoxicated. Absolutely.
What do you got?
So there is something that does happen once in a while. We don't see it very often, but it is nice to see it because it does show that, people do in those ranks. And this is why they will argue that they don't, because you very rarely see it. Bullshit. We see it all the time. It's just not being recorded as being caught and then having something done about it as enforcement. You get caught all the time and it's never enforced. So you continue doing it. This here is just an example where they got caught and it's enforced. Here we got the rainbow crowd coming in for some cupcake wars.
Thanks so much for joining us. 3 people are spending the night in the Orange County Jail after being arrested during a protest at the Pulse Memorial. I'm Giovanni Diaz. Kilma Craze off. They faced the same charges another protester faced after being arrested on Friday. Channel 9's JJ Barton's live outside Pulse tonight. JJ, the same lawyer here who was representing that protester who was arrested on Friday is now representing those new arrested today.
Yes, he is. And they were arrested right in the middle of our 6 p.m. live shot. I want to show you the crosswalk here. You can see they were arrested for chalking the crosswalk, but you can see the chalk is gone. That's because the rain washed it away.
They were arrested for chalking the crosswalk, but you can see it's gone because the rain washed it away. And that is one of the contexts of a law they put out as it relates to graffiti type stuff that would damage the property and thus cost cleanup and repair. But when the rain washes it away, there are no damages. There's no expense for repair and cleanup.
And their lawyer says that that's going to be his defense tomorrow.
Oh, you're going to get touched. Back up. I'm telling you right now, you're interfering with it.
And this protest got a bit intense when state troopers arrested these 3 for chalking in the crosswalk. According to the state, they are tampering with a traffic control device, which is illegal.
Your name is Echo, you said? And what happened? Well, tell us what happened. Why
We're being illegally arrested.
It's
For tampering with a traffic device. Interesting.
It's astounding. Their lawyer, Blake Simon, says that there's no probable cause for their arrest.
Because again, the tampering would be an alteration that would affect its use.
A crosswalk's not a traffic control device. And B, I would like you all to look behind me and wonder what damage has actually occurred. It rained while they were being arrested, and there's no longer any chalk on the sidewalk. That's the same defense he used for S.W.A.P. It worked, and he believes it will work Monday when his 3 clients.
It worked already in the other case. So where was the notice that, hey, don't arrest him for this? But we're going to turn around and do it again. We're going to arrest 3 more a couple days afterwards, knowing that the other one's already been thrown out. Interesting.
A judge. He says the state can get a supplemental affidavit from the troopers with additional evidence to push back against his argument.
What additional evidence? They've already laid it out that they're asserting that they
Defacing sidewalk prohibited. Defacing roadway prohibited. No impeding traffic. And so as long as they're not impeding traffic, then I see no issue. They've not broken any law.
damaged a traffic control device in excess of $1,000, trying to make it a 3rd-level felony.
He doesn't think the state will do that because it didn't happen with Suarez. FDOT released this statement saying, in part, vandalizing state property and or disrupting traffic in any way is unsafe and illegal. These illegal actions will not be tolerated and will be fully enforced by law enforcement. The protesters say they...
And so again, they're using terms that you have to specifically equate, and that is vandalizing, and that is not so. Vandalizing and or disrupting traffic. The chalk on the chalkway does not disrupt traffic. However, if somebody is down there on their hands and knees and a car comes up and they don't move, that would be disrupting traffic. However, I don't see that happening either. They don't have any footage of that. Conveniently, huh?
The protesters say they have more protests coming.
Starting tomorrow, we're taking this fight to City Hall. We're inviting Mayor Betty Dwyer and everybody else in City Hall to come down and chalk with us, because the First Amendment right is what we're fighting for. And we're fighting for queer people and their existence all around this country.
Okay, but while he may be fighting for the First Amendment right, let me remind you that little thing in there about disrupting traffic. Okay? So if you want to do your sidewalk art, keep it on the sidewalk and not the crosswalk across the street. Be a little bit more equitous about it, reasonable and logical, and use your First Amendment right in a way that it can be expressed and admired for its respectful output. But by doing it in the middle of the street, you only help incur various types of actions like this.
Use that head for more than just a hat rack.
Right.
And those 3 people who were arrested, they're expected to be in court around 11 in the morning, and their lawyer believes that they will be out by the afternoon. They didn't give their names while they were out here, so we're waiting to see when they're going to be booked to get those names for them. But reporting live in Orlando, I'm JJ Burton.
Gotta get that name. Gotta get that name.
Oh, yeah.
Here we got the deputies violating a civil rights attorney. Now, I don't know if the guy's actually a civil rights attorney, but that's what he presents, and he does show knowledge. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, everybody, think about it. I was just sitting there thinking about that when you said name. And I remember in Roots, when he wouldn't say that name, they would, lash him real good or whatnot. Ain't that basically what they do on the side of the road? Give me your ID. And when you won't give them a fucking ID, buddy, they're gonna whoop you.
Yep. They're
gonna whoop you in front of your little children and everything else.
I speak about that quite often. Yeah. So let's listen to this guy. Deputies violate the rights of a civil rights attorney.
It's very simple. What are you enforcing right now?
Smith County, Texas has the reputation of being one of the most corrupt counties in all of Texas, and it is certainly proven here, right here on this video. Deputies at the courthouse refuse to follow the law, specifically state statute 4615. They refuse to allow C.J. Grisham to carry in his firearm. He even has the credentials to do so. But these cops are really...
In case you guys don't know C.J. Grisham, I believe C.J. Grisham used to be a street attorney in New York, and now he's down in Texas, got an actual practice going. And that's why I say I don't know if he's actually an attorney or not. I do know he was what they call a street attorney back in New York, as far as I know. Maybe a different C.J. Grisham, but he was a novelist. He wrote some novels. And I believe him to be the same man. And he's, again, that's why I question whether he's actually a civil rights attorney.
dumb. They're really dumb because they're violating the rights of a civil rights attorney. How dumb is that?
Other than that, just my weapon. Your what? Other than that, just my firearm. That's why I was giving you my law enforcement. Oh, no, they don't work for your unless you're law enforcement. What do you... Yeah, that's what this is.
Chico. I know, but he's attorney. You're conducting business, right?
All I've got is an NRA. Yeah, but it's not an adversarial hearing. It's just a single party hearing.
Okay, yeah, you need to take your firearm back to you.
I don't. Yeah. No, I can bring it in.
What's your name?
Why?
Mr. Grisham.
Mr. Grisham, yes, he's here.
Go ahead and take it back.
Okay, go ahead and give me a supervisor if you could. Okay, then I guess I need your supervisor. Okay, I'll wait. Is there, what are y'all enforcing? What are y'all enforcing? Well, you're not enforcing the law because I'm allowed to carry in here.
Let him talk to the lieutenant.
Wait, for safety, why do you have a weapon? Why are you giving...
Exactly. See his point right there? Why do you have a weapon and I can't? This is the card he's going to play now, is that I am qualified, just like you, to carry this weapon where I go. This is what they don't want to accept. They don't want to accept that somebody else has the same authority as them, or possibly even more, huh? See, the law is for thee, but not for me.
Fine.
And again, I'll mention, look at this guy, obese. Look at this guy, obese.
Did you not see my law enforcement credentials? Do you hear what I just said?
Did you hear what I just said? I
Did you
said
hear what I
you're about
just
to
said?
step outside.
For what?
Because I said
Look at this
so.
guy.
But you said there's a law. What law are you
No,
enforcing?
a while ago I said you're doing too much moving. You about to go outside because you ain't with a weapon. You said you're gonna get a lieutenant. So just stand still and just chill
But don't
out.
tell me to stand still. I won't do any. I won't do any threatening.
I am telling you.
No, well, I don't care because you can't stop me from moving. You're not my boss. You're not my king. No, I'm not going. Don't assault me. Don't assault me.
You going outside? You going outside? Come on. Come on.
So you just assaulted me. What's your name?
My name is Loftus. Stay outside. You don't want to follow the rules.
You don't want to follow the law.
And this guy, in case you didn't notice when we first started out, he's obviously obese too.
Is that what you're telling me? Does the rule trump a law? Do you realize I have a hearing that you're keeping me from going to?
You got a hearing. You keep it going. You keeping yourself from going. You're not stepping in this courtroom with that phone on your side.
Why not? What law am I breaking?
You're not stepping in this courtroom with that phone.
Why not? What law am I breaking if I go in there? What are you going to arrest me for? You can't arrest me for anything.
You're not stepping in this courtroom with that firearm on your side.
What law tells you? What are you going to do if I do?
That's all I'm saying. You're not stepping in this courtroom with that firearm.
And
on
what
your
if
side.
I do?
You're not though. So it's not.
And what if I do?
You're not. Unless lieutenant that you asked for say you can. Other than that, you're not.
You might want to actually get the sheriff out here.
I'm not getting anybody. They can do that.
Yeah. So you're just going to violate the law.
I'm not. I said they can.
You are violating the law right
I'm not
now.
violating no law.
I just showed you my credentials.
And you heard from the supervisor say you can't come in here with them.
And who's the supervisor who said that? What's the supervisor's name? Sergeant Samuels? Okay. I see you know who put in the lawsuit. You realize you're law enforcement?
You just said that out loud and you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So enforce the law. That's all I'm asking you to do. Just enforce the law. It's very simple. What are you enforcing right now? Okay, that's a law for who? For people who are not exempt, right? So why are you carrying a gun in there?
Again, making another point. And while we notice, this is the other guy. Again, notice. Obese. What the fuck?
You just pointed a sign that said firearms not allowed. How are you able to carry a gun in there, deputy? You just pointed to the sign right here. I mean, so apparently it applies to everyone, right? How are you special, Mr. Reddit? Guess who's going to win?
That's fine. They said you can. You can.
Why don't you just follow the law? Why don't you just follow the law?
You can.
Why don't you just obey the law? Did you take an oath to uphold the law? Have you not read 4603 and 4615? A5 specifically? Can someone tell the judge that you guys are keeping me from going to my hearing?
He's referring to the licensing and registering requirements for people of a certain level of security clearance that are allowed to carry such weapons into such buildings.
The 114th District Court? I'm only late because of you. Why are all of these, none of you guys are following the law? Is it your policy not to follow the law? Is it your policy not to follow the law? Oh, good, it's Lazarine. I know he's not going to follow the law, so I guess I need his boss too. What's up, LT? Hey, I gave him my credentials.
Notice how he too is obese.
Yeah.
Really, people. Really.
Okay. Can I see your credentials?
They have them. They took them from me.
Take a step over here so we're not blocking.
Okay, yeah. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Doing all right. How you doing? CJ Grisham.
Tim Jones.
Tim Jones, nice to meet you.
He presented us with this. Oh, okay.
Good morning.
I'm good. How are y'all?
Hi there.
What we did?
Oh, they're just not following the law.
Come on, Lord. Just a moment.
Notice all the white collar people are old white men, right? You guys see that, right?
Cops like you or why I retired when I did and became a defense attorney and civil rights attorney. Don't want to follow the law, but you expect everyone else to.
There you go.
Thanks, sir.
You're not bringing a gun in, but you have a good day.
Why can't I bring a gun in?
Because you're not a police officer.
But I'm exempt just like you are.
No, you're not.
I am. Have you read 4615?
No, you're not.
4615 A5?
We've already talked to
What's your name? Well, you talked to T. Cole?
Yep.
Is T. Cole the lawyer? Did you call? Why don't you call the attorney general, maybe?
No. You're not coming.
Okay, what's your name? What's your name?
Carlson. You know my name.
I don't know your name. What is it? Carlson?
Yeah.
First name?
Robert.
Robert Carlson?
Yeah.
We have security here. You're not coming in with a gun.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're violating 4615 of the penal code.
What we're trying to do is.
What is 46? I'm not impersonating a peace officer. It says right here, retired, motherfucker. What the hell?
Yeah. You're not bringing a gun in. We'll see.
It's A5 is retired. A1 is for regular peace officer. Okay, so you'll be sued. You'll be sued. I already. Oh, what am I going to go to jail for? What crime? I'm not impersonating a peace officer. What does it say? It says retired. What's this T Cole then? Did they tell you this is fraudulent? Yeah, for 4615 purposes. Man, you guys are freaking.
Oh, Eric Brandt. You know, I don't hear anything.
Oh shit! I was rambling on without even fucking knowing I was muted somehow. Eric Brandt. This is a extension of what we saw a couple episodes ago. And it's not the second part of that first part, but it is Eric Brandt explains why he won 80% of his criminal cases and how policing needs to change. And this is, again, one of the reasons that we do this is to have that policy change and the enforcement change. And right now, Eric Brandt is in jail, been there for about 4 months, as far as I know. And again, that's one of the perils of pushing the bounds like we do in that attempt to get these police to understand what they're doing is wrong.
Well, he's been there more than 4 months. He's been there for a few years, hasn't he?
No, I think he was out for a while. I think
he was
out.
he?
Yeah. But anyway, let's get into this.
PDF was friends with him, and I'm buddies with him. Well, last I know, he was still in the C.O.W.A.R.D.S. But anyway, man, I could be wrong.
Well, I might be wrong too, but we'll see.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
This was put up 10 days ago. I don't know when the interview actually happened, but you can clearly see it was not within the bounds of a penitentiary or anything.
Yeah, because every one of those stories has an entire backstory behind it. I know.
Right. Of course they arrested me.
So you have to even sense on the multi-year battle with the landlord and finding out that he owns multiple other properties in town, and then going after all those properties.
Oh, yeah.
So this was so you had been evicted. You thought the police, you thought the mayor, they actually arrested you.
Yeah, so this sort of heated up. I had lived there for like 2 weeks. I didn't even have furniture yet, and I think the tipping point for my neighbor was that we had a bunch of flooding one year, and I rescued a dog out of the water. And this dog was really cold and sick, and I didn't know what was wrong with the dog, and it kept throwing up. And it turned out that the dog had parvo, and they had to put it down. And so this happens, and my neighbor, this lady across the hall from me, was like super germaphobe. So I didn't know at the time. You know, you learn things as time goes by. Well, what kicked off this issue with them was, I think, ultimately the parvo dog, and that was as much as she could bear. So she comes over to my apartment one morning and bangs on the door, and I open the door. It's a Saturday morning, and her apartment door is wide open, and it's a fourplex, so it's 2 downstairs, 2 upstairs, with a center staircase with the mezzanine level, if you will, is the laundry room, and this is a brick building. Keep that in mind. And she says, "What's the deal with you going around slamming doors?" I'm like, "Not slamming any doors." And he from the couch says, "Yes, you are. You slammed your door so hard it knocked pictures off of our wall." And I immediately assess the physics of this situation. It's like load-bearing wall, load-bearing wall, load-bearing wall, brick wall. Obviously, if I could impart enough energy into my door to knock pictures off of their wall, then my door would have shattered. Right. So I just looked at this and I realized this is like a no-win situation. And I said, "I'm sorry, but your inability to secure your valuables to your wall is not my concern." And I closed the door. So then the landlord comes by. "Eric, it's Larry. We need to talk." With this East Coast accent. And I cracked the door open, and I'm like, "Oh, we can talk out there." "No, we'll talk in there." And he shoved me into my apartment. "Oh, no, that's my space. That's my space." And remember, I just spent 3 years living on the street. Right next to my door with my lock, right? I wanted that lock, was my axe. And he kept pushing me in the door, and he put his foot in the door and held it in there. He wears sandals, and he's pushing me, and I'm pushing him. I said, "Larry, you better get your leg out of my door. I'm going to break it off." And he wouldn't do it. He kept trying to shove me in there, and I picked that axe up, and I smashed his foot with the blunt end. And there was a little trail of blood, a blood-curdling scream, and the door suddenly snapped shut. So I believe my action was effective. And I'm pretty sure that he will remember me every time the weather gets cold for the rest of his life. But then he crinkles this piece of paper under the door. There's a handwritten eviction notice. And "I thought we could work this out, but it's not going to work. You're out of here." And I picked this thing up and I read it. It's talking about cockroaches and sanitation violations. And I'm like, "What is this?" And I said, "Larry," I'm hanging out the rest. "Larry, what is this? This is ridiculous." And he goes, You're out of here. You need to move." And I'm like, "Larry, this isn't going to work. I might just be a little bit more legally astute than you think I am. I've been doing this for 35 years. I'm pretty sure I've got my bases covered." I said, "Okay, well, I'm just telling you, you're going to earn this eviction." Well, a few weeks later, I got another eviction notice. And this eviction notice was written by an attorney firm. And he told me, he says, "I'll do whatever it takes to get you out of here." Okay, so he didn't follow the law on the evictions, so that was invalid. And then the next one was an attorney firm that wrote it. And it listed dates of violation that actually predated me even having a lease. So I knew when he said, "I'll do whatever it takes to get you out of here," that meant he would also lie. Formally.
Let me ask you a question. This is your first apartment from after being homeless.
Yeah.
Did you stop it?
Did it again. I'll be damned. Sorry about the interruptions, folks. But again, this is where we have to understand that this is where people start using their nepotism, their friendships with authority figures who have power and control of enforcement to go against people because they're in their fifis. And these other people are willing to get in their fifis with them because they're all part of the same fifi friend group.
How did this affect you personally to have this kind of people bugging the hell out of you? And it's just your first time to have your own
I had way more security on the streets. Yeah, I rented a yard behind the Purina plant. This woman did metal scrapping her whole life, and I rented a portion of her yard, and I lived there for 2 years. I was very comfortable there. Nobody bothered me. It was very quiet. It's the only place I've ever felt homesick in my life. I miss it a lot. It was nice. It was a yard full of trash and scrap metal and junk, and it was quiet, and nobody bothered me. It was mine. But she died of an aneurysm. That's why I ended up in housing with the VA.
And you lived outside?
Yeah.
You had time?
The first year I sort of had a makeshift shelter that I made. And then the next year I actually had a camper that I put up on stilts in there. Like the kind of campers that go in the back of a truck. Except I didn't have the truck part. I just had the camper. Yeah. I told Rusty and I, we've been through a lot.
And you were okay with being living on a farm?
I was comfortable there. I was very comfortable there. Denver is very generous to people that dumpster dive. I had everything I needed out of it. I had running water, my own running water. I had sanitation. I had
very, very minimal minimalist. So he's gone through rough times to enforce his rights and his standing in being able to be who he is and self-govern himself. He doesn't need all the benefits and all the plush materialistic bullshit. And I think that's an outstanding character trait.
Heat, I had electricity. I was pretty comfortable there. If Gayla hadn't died, I'd probably still be there.
And you never felt like I want to know how to or anything. You felt like that was impossible.
I suppose, you know, when you're out on the streets, you're every day, every minute of every day is how do I survive the next day? One of the things too, see, you don't know Denver very well, so I would say that this area over by the Purina plant is the easiest place in the world to find, but the hardest place in the world to get to. There are major rail yards that run through there. There's several major highways that go through there. And so it's in this little spot that you really have to know how to get back there. And so there was one police officer that I saw fairly regularly. I don't even know his name. He was a big blonde-headed guy, and he threw ball with Rusty, throw it down the street, and Rusty ran after him. And that's literally the only police contact I had. I had one person, I knew that somebody was stealing scrap metal out of my yard. And I wanted to catch him. And so I set up some really irresistible brass material that I knew he wouldn't be able to resist. And I sat there with a baseball bat waiting for him. I found him. He didn't speak any English, so I started smashing the headlights out of his car, and he spoke a lot of English. But really, I was safe and I was secure there. And so all I wanted, literally, when I told the landlord, I said, listen, I don't need all that stuff. He was redoing the kitchen. I don't need all that. I need a lock and hot water, and that's it. That's all I wanted was a lock and hot water. And like I said, I paid a very hefty price for that hot water. And the lock was useless. There was no security there. I was way more secure on the street. Yeah, I didn't have problems with the police when I was homeless, which is unusual because homeless people constantly have problems with police. But then again, I was off the street, right? I was in a yard. And the people that were there, I mean, it was the trailer hops from Purina and just a few people in that neighborhood. They all knew me. You know, basically, I'm like night security for these lots anyway, and they had my back too. I was very comfortable over there.
So at what point do you decide to actively start doing a different what we call first of all, do you consider yourself a cop or an auditor?
I would, well, yeah, see, I mean, what do words mean? What do labels mean? To me, an auditor observes the wake of activity. You go in and you look at the books and you try and see if things match up. So to me, the purest sense of an auditor would be a person that looks at the result of people's work and compares it to the standard. So, you know, but hey, if people call them auditors, that's fine. I'm okay with that term too. It depends on what I'm doing. Am I a cop watcher? Yeah, they pulled Otto over the other day with his bus for no good reason at all, and I got out and started recording, and it really bugged the guy out. He was really upset. He says, you know, you can't believe everything that you hear in social media about the police. You know, we're not all bad. You know, and Otto's like, well, you know, yeah. And he says, and you know, have you personally, have you ever had a derogatory incident with the police? And Otto's like, I am the guy that you saw on the internet.
I loved him. I talked to him when we were talking about that trust when he was in jail, and they ended up giving him 12 years. He said everybody that ever tried that shit got 20 years, and they ended up giving him 12.
Yeah.
I think it was
Still
12.
got 12 though. Still got 12 though.
It's making it worse when he does that. I am that guy. Of course I am. So should I be a cop watcher? Absolutely. Should you be a cop watcher? Absolutely. Is there a risk to it? Absolutely. Of course you should cop watch because that transparency is essential and you're not going to get it from them. Is there a risk to it? Absolutely. Of course you should cop watch because that transparency is essential and you're not going to get it from them. To it? Absolutely. Of course you should cop watch because that transparency is essential and you're not going to get it from them. Is there a risk to it? Absolutely. Of course you should cop watch because that transparency is essential and you're not going to get it from them. I mean, look, we can't even get body cameras. We only get body cameras when it shows the police in a good light. And so, yeah, am I a protester? I'd say I'm probably more of a protester than any of those other things. You know, you can observe, or you can stick your finger in the cage and spin it around a little bit and see how they respond, or you can look at what happens afterwards. And somewhere along that gamut, I find myself on any particular day, depending on what it is.
And was there a moment when you said, I'm going to start recording police?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that moment?
Sure will. So I'm still in my apartment. We've gone through several eviction iterations, and I kicked his ass every time. And the judge basically told him, listen, Mr. Brandt needs a place to stay this winter, and you're going to give it to him. So if you don't want Mr. Brandt, you're going to work something out. Well, we ended up working something out as spring came. I asked him if he'd let me out of my lease and take my security deposit as the last month's rent. And he's like, oh, absolutely. Please leave.
Yeah, I thought he was out for a while, and he just recently got put back in jail about 4 months ago, if I'm not right, Mitch. Mitch says he took the plea because he was facing 45 years. Yeah, and see, that's and to Mitch's point there, that's one thing I'll never do. I'd rather sit in jail teaching the other guys that are in there, opening my mouth and running it as much as I can wherever I'm at. I'm not going to bow down and do a plea deal and say I was guilty of something I wasn't. No way.
I mean, look at the, I'm looking at this from, obviously I knew Eric a little bit, but I'm looking at this from another angle at this particular second. I mean, I didn't know really much of his backstory, the homeless on the street and everything. This man's got a brilliant mind. And look at
Yeah.
all of that year, and he was homeless, sleeping on the streets.
Yeah, I don't know much of his background either, but I do watch some of the videos with him, and I like some of his characters. Like I said, being the guy that doesn't have all the materialistic stuff. But again, I don't know enough about any of these people, so
Yeah.
I just my part is the psychology of things and how they work out.
Mm-hmm.
So I partially did that because I was getting so many reports. I'd started my protests with the sign, right? I had just started those. I did sidewalk chalk. I got arrested for sidewalk chalk. So then, okay, so I started doing sidewalk chalk. The sidewalk chalk I drew was at City Hall. It was an upside down pig with little wiggly lines on his legs. Huge, by the way, like 8 feet. Put a Westminster police badge, or a badge with a W on it, had big tears flowing out into a big puddle underneath it. And I wrote, "Make a pig wail and you'll go to jail." And I did. The cop that arrested me just went to federal prison for raping a woman in the back of his patrol car after the feds charged him with civil rights violation because the state gave him 90 days.
So he arrested you for a chalk?
Arrested me for that chalk in particular. And a giant scales of justice bent over to one side that said chalk will wash away, injustice stains to stay. And I did all kinds of chalk all over Westminster. I went on a rampage. Free vandalism. I got 90 days.
In jail?
Oh, yeah. I got the same sentence for sidewalk chalk as Curtis Argenbright got for raping a woman in the back of his patrol car.
Yeah, see, I didn't realize that. That would explain a lot right there. Having a background of a scorned ex-government employee pushing anti-government narrative and no solutions. That would certainly explain a lot of why he does push back so hard. But again, like you said, no solutions. And and that anti-government narrative, that's kind of the not taking accountability for self, because I've come to learn that, like Richard Pryor said, thank God for penitentiaries, thank God for government, because there are certain people that do need government.
Absolutely.
Westminster. Yeah. And so I had just discovered the magic 8 letters. And I discovered that because the same cop that kept giving me trouble pissed me off one day. I was building a float for a bicycle trailer because I found a bunch of chicken wire and knew immediately what I was going to do with it. I was making a big upside down pig. And my friend Nicole, she says, you should make a middle finger that comes out of the butthole that says, fuck the police. Right. And so I'll tell you more about Nicole sometime if you want to, but she's a great friend of mine. And
see, that's a perfect example of what Mitch just said. Not having solutions. It's showing a lot of anti-government narrative hatred and no solutions. So that's interesting here, because that's one of the things that I try to express is in my current mode of thinking, as opposed to the way I thought before. Fuck the police, and just like he does. I've come to believe that it's not a matter of fuck the police. It's more a matter of educating the police. And that's certainly in the position of myself and Eric Brandt here and others, is a difficult thing to do sometimes. Mitch says, I'm suspicious that anyone pushing anti-government narratives are involved with government one way or another. Either directly or under contract. The government needs an enemy. Yep. Go ahead.
I wonder if some of those no solution come from the crowd that you run with and trying to satisfy everybody's needs instead of looking at that inner self and blocking all of that out. And I just wonder a lot of times these brilliant minds, if that's not what happens.
Well, there's a principle that in your spiritual awakening that you become stagnant and non-motivated, and that plays across psychology. If you become caught up in something, and you all of a sudden think you have a secret knowledge of some sort, all of a sudden you're enlightened, but that causes a stagnant portion. This is part of what you see in the Dunning-Kruger effect. You understand that?
Yeah.
And she was also abused by the Westminster Police because of her race. But that was a great idea, except this angle was more machinery. I could do this angle better. So I did this angle. And I just had a piece of foam core that I cut with a knife and wrote "fuck cops" on it. I thought 8 letters would be better than "fuck the police" if you're going to be driving by it. And it was.
And Mitch says here, using social media for military disinformation operations aren't out of the ordinary. Absolutely not. It's part of the conditioning system. And this is why I urge people. Mitch is one of those guys that loves intellectual honesty, you know, and that's why it's important to shut off the lies. Quit dealing with people that lie, even the slightest. You want people that have solid integrity. Some of the police are very indoctrinated. Dominatrix 42 says, Dominator XXX 42 says, or should I say, adherence to natural law is a solution to most problems we face, especially police issues. I would tend to agree that if people went back to their nature and understood their true authority, they might comprehend a better way of expressing themselves in this democracy as the authoritative figure that puts in that vote. And if you want my vote, which you obviously already have, because as a taxpayer, blah, 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 you know, understand how that system works and who's supposed to hold the real authority. It's the civilians.
My prototype, and it was working, and Drew Smith pissed me off again one day, and so I snatched that damn thing off the top of my float and I stuck it on a stick and I walked Rusty down the street with it. I went 6 blocks round trip. I had a bottle of water thrown at me. I had people take pictures. I had people cheer me. I had horns honking, and I went back to the house. I'm like, guys, I have found the magic 8 letters. Fuck cops. Well, because in just 6 blocks, I had people cheering, I had people honking, I had people taking pictures, and I had 1 bottle of water thrown at me. In 6.
Yeah, that's quite the thing to brag about. Again, if you're going to be pushing a message for freedom, rights, interests, all that, and responsibility, obligation, duty, fortitude, courage to stand up and get through this bullshit, then you're not one of the proponents that puts the bullshit out there. You actually spread the message instead of saying fuck the police in glory of your name. So let's listen to it again.
People take pictures. I had people cheer me. I had horns off the top of my float and I stuck it on a stick and I walked Rusty down the street with it. I went 6 blocks round trip. I had a bottle of water thrown at me. I had people take pictures. I had people cheer me. I had horns honking, and I went back to the house. I'm like, guys, I have found the magic 8 letters. Fuck cops. The top of my float and I stuck it on a stick and I walked down the street with it. I went 6 blocks
me
round trip. I had a bottle of water thrown at me. I had people take pictures. I had people cheer me. I had horns honking, and I went back to the house. I'm like, guys, I have found the magic 8 letters. Fuck cops. Well, because in just 6 blocks, I had people cheering, I had people honking, I had people taking pictures, and I had 1 bottle of water thrown at me. In 6 blocks. It's like, oh, this is great. This will work. And so that's when I made this huge sign out of styrofoam, and I found in a dumpster behind a sign shop a bunch of sign vinyl, and I just plastered it on there as glue, and I put a spring on it with a mechanical hinge, and it went up and down. Yes?
Oh, I'm sorry.
And back to Mitch's statement about solutions. When are you going to get cheers for bringing forth solutions? In the meantime, pushing those down to protesting ends, means, and ways is why you end up in confrontation. Again, you're not being very diplomatic about things. And that's the part that's going to cause you problems, the communication back and forth.
Well, see, it made me think a little deeper into that when he, guys, I got the magic, whatever. But there's that pressure. That's probably the most attention this man got if he was homeless before that and stuff. I don't know, man. I think the mind, people people aren't humans are disgusting.
Oh, absolutely. And most people are conditioned to be in a popularity contest, no matter what they're
Yeah.
fighting for. So they forget the message and remain in the popularity contest. It's all about I, me, I.
Is it working? Outstanding. So and I mounted it on a backpack frame and I drove all over town on my bicycle with that sign. And that was the first fuck cop sign. And people would stop and I would pull the little thing down and the finger would go like this. And then they took my sign, so I had to make more of them. I would make them bigger and better every time. I put blinking lights on. I made these huge paper mache things, three-dimensional signs, and people loved them. But they're really bulky. That's why I went to flags, because I can drop the flag and get on a bus or whatever, do a pop-up protest. And so in this time, all these homeless people are coming to me and they're complaining to me about what the Westminster police are doing to them. And one of the big complaints that I had is that they would be somewhere sleeping, and the Westminster police would roll up on them at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they would get on their bullhorn and then drive off. And well, that's really shitty, right? So I moved out of my apartment and I moved onto the streets of Westminster in order specifically to address this question. And if you look at my very, very, very first YouTube video, my very first YouTube video is the video from that. I was out there for less than 3 hours and they did it to me. Pulled up to me while I'm sleeping and blew their horn. I had this big, huge trailer and I had all kinds of shit on it. And I had a giant cop sign attached to it. I had a battery. I had a little water pump. It was my little homeless city for myself. And they hated me. And I posted up right at 72nd and Lowell, which is where they come down from the police department onto 72nd and go. And I posted right on that corner. And they absolutely did it to me 4 times that night. The fourth time I was able to get my camera going and caught them recording me with a camera. So they're going out with a camera, blowing their bullhorn at people to wake them up in the middle of the night and speeding off and getting their giggles with the camera. That was my very, very, very first YouTube video. I'll make a note. They'll find that. They might not have seen that one. I call it the Retardomax video. That was my very first one, And, I've been watching things like Mistaken Bacon, which is Tom Zebra back in the day. And that was really, there was nobody doing this 8 years ago, except for Tom Zebra, basically. And so that's when I really started going after the cops. So they just pushed me too far and I snapped and I went full bore.
And what would you say about
It's not, I can't hear it.
And notice how he giggles like a little child.
Yeah.
To him, it's a game. Nothing more than a game. Again, I, me. I'm going to win. You see this a lot.
state of American policing then and now? I mean, was what you're doing necessary to correct the balance, or I mean,
golly,
is it personal or is it general?
Well, you mean, do they make it personal, or is it personal for me?
In some way, personally bad interactions, but it seems like it's become more than that. Like it might have been initially you had personal problems with police, but then
it's systemic. I learned that it's systemic, and unfortunately, you're really not going to get any correction on it, right? I do years of.
Okay, right there. Okay, he admits it's systemic, right?
Might have been initially you had personal problems with police, but then
it's systemic. I learned that it's systemic, and unfortunately, you're really not going to get any correction on it, right? I do. It's systemic. I learned that it's systemic, and unfortunately, you're really not going to get any correction on it, right?
But then,
it's systemic. I learned that it's systemic, and unfortunately, you're really not going to get any correction on it, right?
And unfortunately, you're not really going to get any correction on that, right? No, you're not going to get any correction if you go in with the attitude of just defaming them and being slanderous and protesting. But if you come forth with diplomatic measures and a certain etiquette with knowledge, we can start conditioning ourselves and allow that to help condition them by our very own interactions, by being the true man and standing up to what is truthful and rightful and not putting up with the bullshit lies anymore.
I do years of litigation with Westminster. I kicked their ass on the sidewalk chalk question. And so I went back to do a 3rd-year anniversary chalk in the same spot on the same day, and I got arrested for it. They prosecuted me. I went to jury trial.
Just like the one we saw earlier. It's already been decided. No, that's not. And then they're going to prosecute him for it again. It's a police state. And as long as they can create the event again, they will make money off of it as long as people don't see that. That's where the transparency needs to happen. Not by showing dicks that say fuck cops.
After you won your case,
yeah.
Well, sure, Mitch.
Yes. state.
I
And-
can
and I've
only
arrested
imagine how much.
And just for the record, that makes them very bad detectives because I signed my chalk every time and I did it hundreds of times. But
So you basically proved that American policing is beyond stupid.
I think American policing, well, at the time I had hope, right? But over the last 8 years, I would tell you that I really honestly have very little hope for American policing, unless more people like me stand up, unless more people like you expose these issues. We need a way more exposure than I could get. I mean, I was stunned they arrested me for sidewalk chalk. I thought I'd get a little publicity and they would fix their problem.
I thought I would get a little bit of publicity and they would solve the problem. No, you have to give them the publicity, the transparency of what they're doing wrong, and solve that problem for yourself. You have to learn how to detach. You had all these attachments, and that's what you don't want to get rid of. And like Mitch said, you placate this detachment from a home to be homeless and then live on donos.
The solution is the growth in one's mindset.
Absolutely. That's that thing I was talking about earlier about being autodidactic at the beginning of the video. We have to learn how to teach our children, our younger generations, to think for themselves so they can use their observances, contemplate their observances, and then express them in a manner that seems reasonable to them, logical, in a proper discussion with others to make sure that they understand or comprehend what's real and not.
That didn't happen.
And do you think it's working what you're doing? I mean, it's just
I guess that I don't have nearly as much hope as I used to have, but
You think what you're doing is working. I guess I really don't have as much hope as I used to have because it's not. It's not working. That isn't how it will work. You can't be an antagonist and tell antagonizers they have to stop antagonizing. That's the thing about Nietzsche, looking into the abyss long enough and the abyss will start looking into you. Now you become the abyss. You become the abuser. You become the one that's violating. You become the one that's discordious. You're the one that's become distraction, disinfo,
I have had some successes. So
or non-info.
maybe if 100 people like me have the same kinds of successes that I've had, then we might see some progress.
Then maybe you ought to look back at those successes and see why they were successes and try a better way of helping that success for others that already find themselves in places and using your learned diplomacy. Oh, wait a minute. You didn't learn diplomacy, did you? You didn't actually learn anything about it from it, but that you got publicity and you won something. Ooh, congratulations.
I think we see a little bit of progress. Brian Loma had a trial the other day, and it's my understanding that there were several people out in front of the courthouse distributing jury nullification literature that day. And that's something that you can do in Colorado, and in particular in that courthouse, because I occupied the courthouse for 57 days and nights.
Okay, so let's start with this.
Michael Keith Larson Abarimo. On the other side of things, you have some who will make public statements like he'll never win. Well, and that's part of what I mentioned earlier is only people like him that push the bounds will end up in those courts and situations. But on the other hand, when other people are already in those situations and you've already been through it and find a way through it, now is the time to step back from pushing those bounds and start helping those that need to go through the process by being locked up and not being able to fend for yourself because you came at them as an antagonist is the problem.
If you're doubting your own abilities off of the rip, you probably already lost.
Right. And this is why I say, you know, I used to think I was going to file a suit, and that's actually the end of that video. So I actually, when I first started out 9 years ago with this last case where I really gave him hell, my first inkling I was going to go like most and file a suit against him and win this case in court. And I've come to find out that there's a different way of doing things. And in my humility and humbleness of getting rid of everything that I could as far as the societal attachments, the bank account, the job, and everything, and learning how to live a more singular life, coexisting with the rest of the world as an independent creature, governing myself and my own decisions.
Yeah, I think I look back over the years, and myself in particular, and trying to have conversations with other, obviously, to some sense of the term, like-minded folks, and never could understand why we couldn't, they have faith and they say they believe in this higher creation and stuff, but we couldn't seem to come to any good conversation and agreeing of any of that to flow in that conversation. And I'm wondering, because I look at it all from a business standpoint. I look at because I run a business and that's how I fed my family. And if I didn't, to me it wasn't the profits. To me, that customer had to be happy. It wasn't about the money. It was about the relationship. Because if I do a decent job, you're going to tell one or two people. If I do a shitty job, you're going to tell everybody and your brother. So. Yep. And I'm looking at things from that standpoint, and the head of the house is responsible for those finances. That's the head teacher. That's the one standing on that foundation, that foundation of where those profits come from, to make sure that that individual, that neighbor, that the service provided was in good faith and honorable.
Yeah,
and that's not what these finances are today.
Yeah, see, that's the good faith and fair dealings of the head of the household to substantiate the honor of that house, not just
close, Mitch. Apologies.
It might be mine. Is it my mic?
I'll put a stock on it.
Is my mic good?
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes down to that head of the household, not just the finances, but like I said earlier, to protect and provide. And that means in a plenary fashion, not just providing the protection, but the financing decisions, the material decisions of assets and material goods and food stores and things like that. That self-governing aspect. When a man comes forth and can't self-govern himself, and he wants to get in a relationship with the woman that's going to do half of the governing, but they're both dependent upon a marriage license that says there's a third party that's going to do the governing, and you just gonna believe it's a union between the two of you. No, that's
that's what I'm saying.
a large part of the problem.
That government is that business entity it's supposed to be, I look at that as the one supposed to be setting an example of this, because that's what we should be teaching, and these families should be built on these types of principles. And that business, as the more need there is, the more people you can bring on and teach that service aspect of it. And then was that? Oh, it might have been you. But then you teach that on to other people, and then you build, and that community just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, slow but sure. And that's, again, it seems like you would be part of a popularity contest. But when I talk about this popularity contest in these modern times and throughout eons, it's all been about the person, the name. This popularity contest is more of a popularity of the ideology of things like getting back to an agrarian lifestyle, a nomadic lifestyle, things like this that are more in unison with the nature of our true being. So I think that's the main problem, is many people have been disassociative through their societal conditions from their instincts and intuitions. They become dependent upon the cognitive dissonance of comfort and convenience of somebody else protecting and providing for them, known as that false patriarch that I always talk about, that corporate capitalist United States. You are not a United States citizen. You are not a resident.
Oh, come on.
So anyway,
Benny's.
so anyway, final words, Russ.
I'll end like I always do. Remind everybody that popularity without a positive purpose does none of our families any justice in the future. Doesn't secure them nor protect them. Be the change you wish to see. I love every one of you. Much love.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brother Russ. And you guys know me. I love you, but I don't give a fuck. Don't give a rat's ass. I don't care what kind of swear words you want to use. I don't care how you want to defame me. I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you disrespect me. All that kind of bullshit is on you. So may your God love and bless you. And let me look. Slow. Something slow on my computer now. Getting there. We're getting there. Oops. No. Oh, because I don't have my screen share up. Okay, now we're going to get to it. Have a good evening, everybody.
It's a shit show, but it's a hit, yo. Panel full of talkers, all bark, no soul. Drama's on tap, spilling fast and loud. Dollar signs flashing when they rile the crowd. Super chats rolling, they pay for the beef. Truth takes a backseat, clouds the belief. It's a shit show, baby, prime time go. Numbers climb high while the mowers get slow. Turn up the heat, let the chaos flow. Ain't about truth, it's a rodeo. If the views keep coming and the cash still grow, I'll stop the circus, let the madness go. Fake tears fall, the mic gets cut. One's playing victim, the other talks tough. On fire built from liars, but every low blow makes the money ring. So they keep on dancing in that drama swing. It's a shit show, baby, prime time gold. Numbers climb high while the malls get sold. Turn up the heat, let the chaos flow. Ain't no God truth, it's a radio. If the views keep coming and the cash still grow, I stop the circus, let the madness go. There's a spotlight on the petty, and flames just clicks away. They don't care who they bury, as long as someone pays. It's a shit show, baby, but the lights still shine. Even fake crowns look good online. One big game